My name is Jordan Jones, and we are running the presidential debate.
My name is Jasmine Jones.
Good morning. My name is Bryan Anchondo. I'm one of the candidates.
My name's Anthony Moreno, and I'm also a candidate.
Okay, the first question goes to Mr. Anthony. Is this about healthcare? Given the worrisome rise of mental disturbances within the younger generation of Americans over the last decade, what would you now do to improve the mental health of our citizens?
Right now, to improve mental health, I would first have more job availability so that younger Americans can work towards that healthcare and get the help they need. Because what I believe is that nothing good is free, and that everything should be worked for. So that's that's my opinion on that.
See, I believe mental health is a very serious issue. And just like you mentioned, especially in schools and underprivileged areas, if I were to become the president, I would address the situations by offering more mentorships and more availability with healthcare situations. I will set up more clinics that could focus on mental health issues, so and offer more jobs that could also support that focus on mental health awareness, and also start more campaigns that focus on it. It's a very serious issue. It's an issue that needs to be addressed immediately. Thank you.
I think I disagree with making it easier. I think healthcare should be earned through discipline, work, and responsibility. That's a big thing about my campaign is that you should work for everything, and that you need to instill discipline in your everyday life.
I understand where he's coming from, but I think he's missing the point. I think he's missing that the big issue here is mental health. And there's people out there who are dealing with this issue, and that's an issue that needs to be addressed. And although I understand that it does need to be earned. I think these people right now are going through tough situations, and we need to show empathy and support to them at their lowest point. And that's why I believe that my way is the best way. Thank you.
Um, Mr. Anchondo, as president, how would you ensure that Americans keep their right to bear arms under the Second Amendment while also ensuring that gun violence drops?
Okay. I also support guns. I do believe that we should bear armed guns, but I also do believe that life is also important. I think one of the biggest issues that I've seen is that we do need universal background checks. That is very important. I think we should implement that. What we also should implement is something new, something like a red flag law, where in case you notice that an individual could be dangerous and has access to weapons, that could temporarily be taken away until further notice. I also think that we should provide more gun safety education in schools and communities. We could partner with organizations across the United States, such as Border Rec, Medical Reserve Corps, organizations that prepare the community and support the community in case of emergency situations. Thank you.
I also agree with that, but I believe that we should make it easier and more available to get guns while making gun laws. Oh, my bad. The process to get a gun harder and more secure so that the bad people don't get their hands on guns because too many young Americans die to guns. So we're going to work hard to keep them out of neighborhoods that or schools and make sure that mentally unstable people can't get guns and dangerous people like past criminals aren't able to get them.
Can I? And I also do agree. Anthony does make a valid point, but what he lacks is vision, which is what I provide here. I do provide a way to solve this issue. And as you heard, the red flag law, again, we're not going to be racial profiling or anything like that. We mean to take this very serious. It's a very serious thing. And that's what I plan to implement. In case you see that somebody could potentially be dangerous to the community and has access to the guns, that's one of the best ways to approach the situation. So thank you.
I don't think having someone potentially be bad should stop them from buying guns. Uh, Potentially shouldn't get you in trouble. I feel like after you've committed a crime or are convicted, then you should be punished, but not before.
Mr. Moreno, as president, how will you engage with Mexico and other countries to reform, create, and implement cooperative immigration policies?
So for our borders, I want to take a firm, fair, and legal stand on it. I want to make legal immigration, easier, faster, and more secure because I want people to come into the country. I understand that America was built on immigrants, but coming in illegally hurts communities and the country as a whole. So I want to make it easier to come in, but harder to come in illegally. So I want to protect border and ramp up border security.
So I believe that we should have a more secure border. That's true. But we should also have more empathy for immigrants. And that's one of the big things. So one of the things that I do plan on doing is investing more smarter tech for the border, such as drones, more surveillance, you know, more stuff that could potentially prevent, the bad people from coming in. But that also takes me to my next thing, immigrants. You know, I do plan to have immigrants come into the country, but also, like Anthony mentioned, legal way. I also plan on implementing the correct pathway and also investing more money into courts who are seeking asylum, so the process is more faster, so that they don't have to resort to coming in the illegal way. Also, one thing that I plan on doing is cracking down on human trafficking. I think that's the big issue when it comes to immigration, and I think that's the issue that people have when it comes to immigration. Like, oh my God, these bad people. And the issue is, I do plan on addressing that, so people such as the cartels or human trafficking will be stopped and will be addressed. People for me.
Mr. Anchondo,
I agree with him, but I think we should battle organized crime indirectly. So instead of like drones and like going into Mexico and trying to stop stuff like that, we help the country of Mexico, give them supplies, and help them fight it.
Should I respond? Yeah. I do believe that's a good idea, but I'm pretty sure currently, from my sources, right, and from what's happened, I think that has happened, but Mexico has declined that offer. So the best way and the best thing to offer now is just to protect ourselves from that happening. Mexico is going through a tough time right now. So who knows if they will take our help in this situation. So thank you.
Mr. Anchondo, on climate change and the environment, how will you ensure that all communities receive equal access to clean air and water, as well as equitable response to climate disasters such as wildfires and hurricanes?
So I believe that climate change is a big issue. It's an issue that needs to be addressed. I think for sure to provide more energy and more resources to communities, I do plan on using cleaner energy, such as wind, solar, electric, all of that for communities, instead of using the ones that pollute the earth. Also, and can you repeat your question for the last part for the fires, the hurricanes?
As well as equitable response to climate disasters such as wildfires or hurricanes.
Again, I do plan on investing more on organizations that can focus on that, such as Border Rec, which is an organization that supports stuff like that, like fires, hurricanes, all of that, that could potentially help the community and offer more jobs and more volunteering. Thank you.
Mr. Moreno, your response?
I agree with him, but I think we should send more money to the parts of the country that it affects more, so like California or coastal cities, and also promote awareness on how to deal with it if it does happen. So go into communities and provide the necessary resources and education to help prevent major damage to the cities and their homes.
Mr. Moreno, you're saying that you're trying to focus on more areas like California, Florida, that like have hurricanes and wildfires, most right? So would you like send more money to them,
Uh,
more resources?
yes, we could, but we could also have charity events so everyone in the country can help support those in need.
Mr. Anchondo, you said addressing the issues of cleaner power and environment. You said things such as wind, solar, and water. Who and how would we pay for this?
Who? Um, there's this also can help boost our economy, but we could obviously partner with allies or anything and we could also start jobs that can focus on those. We could start implementing schools around communities that focus on this that could potentially not just benefit the community but also benefit us and provide us with energy as a whole. Thank you.
Okay. Um, moving on to combating drugs and crime. Mr. Moreno, since 1980, the U.S. prison population has grown by almost 800%. The United States has more people behind bars than any other country in the world. What would you do as president to reduce the U.S. prison population and end mass incarceration?
I think it starts with family, so we need to be able to keep families together as well as educating uh, all neighborhoods, but mostly lower income because I know that that's where it's a problem. So I think going in and providing the support and resources can help lower it. But I also think drugs are a big problem, and I think by securing the border, that will also lower drugs coming into the country. And if we need to, we could do another war on drugs.
Mr. Anchondo, your response?
Okay, I agree with what he said. Definitely. I do believe that it starts at home. And that's why I believe that we should implement more in communities. The way we would do this is we would offer more youth programs, more jobs, more mentorships, stuff for communities that are at risk for situations like these to have guidance and understand how to avoid situations like this. But I also do believe that one of the issues is the trust on police officers. I plan on having hosting events where the community can interact with police officers and see them as part of our community instead of the enemies. And I also do believe that one of the big issues and why many people are incarcerated is because of drugs. I do plan on cracking down more on fentanyl trafficking, more on drug trafficking and all that, focusing more of the attention on that. But another way to stop people from being behind bars is treating people who are struggling through drugs, stuff like that, like such as cocaine or anything like that. We treat them more with empathy. So instead of having them go behind bars, we would have them go into rehab. But this would only go again for people who have no violence backgrounds or anything like that. People who are having a hard time with this very dangerous disease, which is drugs. And that's one of the best ways that I think we could address it, so we could keep people behind bars. Thank you.
Um, Mr. Anchondo, on the idea of foreign policy, today only 20% of the world's people live in free countries. What do you view as the United States' role in strengthening democracy and protecting human rights around the world?
So I do believe that the U.S. should help people in countries all over the world. I think we should definitely keep supporting Ukraine, countries like that, while also trying to delegate the situation and not, evoke a war against Russia or anything like that. I also do believe that we should stand firm with Taiwan, and handle issues diplomatically with China. I think that's one of the best ways to handle it. Also do want to restore more trust with NATO and allies, and implement more trust between us, so we can have a better foreign alliance. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
I strongly disagree with what he says about sending aid. I think we should send aid up until it becomes a dependency. After that, I think we should cease aid and only ensure that it protects democracy and stops war. So, like he did say, Ukraine, I think we've already sent enough, and that they can handle their own affairs. And like Taiwan, we can help them, just not have them dependent on us. And the same for us. I want to limit dependency on other countries and lower debt with foreign countries.
About not helping Taiwan. Isn't Taiwan a U.S. ally?
Yes, I'm for supporting allies, but I just don't want it to become a dependency where they're like sole ally and they're getting help from no one else.
Mr. Anchondo, in rebuttal to his dependency argument, do you think we are helping probably too much?
I do believe and I do understand that issue. Like, oh yeah, we are helping too much, but you also need to see the positive in it. Helping countries like Ukraine. If we have such a country such as Ukraine, join Russia, it could cause even more issues further down the line. So I believe that standing firm with them, offering our support, can even help the economy even more over here. Offer more help and boost our allies too in case anything were to happen. Thank you.
We will now go 30-second rounds. Um, Circling back to the issue of healthcare. 30-second round, circling back to the issue of healthcare. Mr. Anchondo, as president, what would you do to increase mental health treatment within the community for our vets and their families and caregivers?
Vets are one of the most important asset to our community all over the world. They offer so much. And that's why I do believe we should implement more facilities that focus and mental health, offering more awareness for PTSD, making them understand that it's okay and that it can be treated and it can be helped with. So offering more facilities, more clinics that focus on that, while also raising more awareness. All of that could help with at-risk veterans. Thank you.
Mr. Moreno, same question to you. As president, what would you do to increase mental health treatment within the community for our vets and their families and caregivers?
I think the solution to that is providing more funding to the VA and ensuring that veterans get the support they need, especially homeless veterans. I think getting them off the street is a big thing, and making sure that them and their families are compensated for the time they gave to their country.
With the unfortunate rise of gun violence in institutions such as public schools, what would your plan be to combat gun violence?
Uh, I would make sure that we crack down on illegal guns and illegal possession of guns, because I understand that these kids, they're not the ones going to get the guns. Someone's getting it for them, and it's probably not in a legal way. So I would make sure that we crack down on illegal gun trafficking and make sure that, of course, we have stricter uh, background checks.
Okay, then what about the people that get guns from their family members, not the illegal way?
Mr. Anchondo, same question to you. With the unfortunate rise of gun violence in institutions such as public schools, what would your plan be to combat gun violence within schools?
Within schools, yes, within schools, students. That is a very, very, very high population that are very vulnerable. And I think one of the best ways to address it is by educating them. Just like they learn stuff at school, they should learn also about gun violence, how to prevent it, how to read the signs, all of that. I think that's one of the best ways that we can prevent it. We could offer classes to teachers that they could also teach to students about gun safety, what would happen in situations, scenarios, how to read signs, and I think that would be the best way to address gun issues at schools. Thank you.
Mr. Moreno, on the topic of border security, do you believe that increasing border security is the most effective way to combat drug trafficking, or should the U.S. focus more on international partnerships and demand strategies on reducing drugs, on reducing illegal immigration?
Uh, I think securing the border would help a lot, actually, because I feel like most of the drugs come in from our southern borders instead of internationally overseas. And I think that relying on other nations would hurt the country more than it would help. So I believe that independence for our country would help it.
Same question to you, Mr. Anchondo. 30 seconds.
Could you read the question?
Um, do you believe that increasing border security is the most effective way to combat drug trafficking, or should the U.S. focus more on international partnerships and demand strategies on reducing illegal immigration?
Well, I do believe they're both good. I also do believe and agree that border security could possibly be the most beneficial one. I believe that if we focus more on border tech and all of those situations to decrease the flow of drugs into the United States, it could limit the amount that's coming in. I also do believe that by cracking down on smugglers that are smuggling drugs such as fentanyl and all that, it could potentially help us even more than international for sure. Thank you.
Mr. Moreno, what steps will you take to ensure, oh, this is about climate change, this is about climate and environment. What steps will you take to ensure we collectively reduce our carbon emissions? Do you have an emission reduction target or timeline?
I think that our most like emissions come from probably I say factories. So maybe we could set limitations on the amount that they produce, and I'd say we could do it within the next decade.
So, Anchondo, so the question to you: what steps will you take to ensure we collectively reduce our carbon emissions? Do you have an emissions reduction target or a timeline? 30 seconds.
Okay. To reduce carbon emissions, just like you mentioned, yes, there's factors and all that. But I do believe that a better way to approach it is by using powers, like clean powers, such as wind, solar, like I mentioned before, to help reduce all that. Focusing more on using electricity, such as electric cars and all that, could potentially help the pollution and evade climate change, which is a very serious topic for sure. I think that's pretty much it. The timeline for it would be in around a decade as well. Thank you.
Mr. Moreno, on the topic of combating drugs and crime, um, as president, how will you support slash advocate for families impacted by drug addiction? 30 seconds.
I think being able to provide awareness on how to help their family member and have them rehabilitate into normal life, I think that's where it starts. We need to be able to educate them on issues like that because they might not know how to deal with it and how to help them when they're struggling.
Mr. Anchondo, same question to you. As president, how will you support slash advocate for families impacted by drug addiction? 30 seconds.
So, just like I had mentioned before, I do believe we should host more programs, more community event programs that promote, addictions and showcase to the community that an addiction could be is similar, it's just the same as a disease, and that it's okay to seek help. And I do believe that we should open up more rehab centers for the people to help cope with these situations that they're struggling with. Thank you.
On foreign policy, Mr. Moreno, conflicts regarding foreign interests with one another are growing more and more frequent, such as Russia, Ukraine, and Israel and Palestine. How much involvement, if any, should the U.S. have in these foreign conflicts? Should these foreign conflicts be a priority for America?
I think we should stay out of their affairs. I mean, we should help our allies and have minimal interference with their conflicts because, like you said, they're foreign conflicts, not ours. Uh, but yeah, we can help our allies, but not too much.
Mr. Alejandro, same question to you. Conflicts regarding foreign interests with one another are growing more and more frequent, such as Russia, Ukraine, and Israel and Palestine. How much involvement, if any, should the United States have in these foreign conflicts? Should these foreign conflicts be a priority to America? 30 seconds.
I don't think this should be a big priority, but they should be in our heads when we do this. I feel like we should offer help, and the best way to offer it is not just by offering resources, but trying to de-escalate war. I think that's the issue there, and I think that's what the U.S. target should be, to offer help, but again, not so much that it takes resources away from us, but offer help so like to the point where it de-escalates the situation and doesn't lead to another war. Because having more war could affect us even more in the future.
Mr. Moreno first.
My closing thoughts is that during my presidency, I'll make sure that Americans come first and that they're always put first. So for foreign relations, I'll make sure that I take care of my country first before I go and help another one, like with wars and stuff. And for healthcare, I know that's a big issue, but I believe that working for it and instilling discipline in Americans will greatly help the nation progress further and have our citizens grow.
Anchondo, your closing thoughts.
Yes, I believe that as a president, I will advocate for the people and help the people the most I can. I will listen to you guys and understand where you guys are coming from, especially with healthcare. I don't want it to be an issue where a family has to struggle whether to choose to either pay rent or to pay for a doctor. I want medications, to be at a lower price, and I'll make sure all that happens. For border security, I'll make sure that the border is more secure, but we're also more compassionate towards immigrants and more welcoming, instead of treating them like a human. I think climate change as well, it's a big issue, and it's an issue that needs to be addressed as soon as possible. And if I were to be as a president, I would address the issue immediately as I got into office. And I would also want to treat drugs as a disease, something that, needs to be treated and shouldn't, be a consequence, something that it's an addiction and should be treated as soon as possible. And terrorism as well, it should be something that should be dealt with and everything. But overall, that's just all I have to offer. If you vote for me, thank you. Thank you.
Voting for me will promote a secure country and make sure all Americans stay free and democracy spreads.
Cap.
Thank you.
Cap.